Your suffering would be reduced if you responded spiritually. There is a suffering encountered as a Christian that is illegitimate suffering. You're suffering, but you're not suffering for Christ. You're suffering because you didn't respond spiritually to a situation. Therefore, you suffer when you don't need to. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 15 says, "But let none of you suffer as a murderer, a thief, an evildoer, or as a busybody in other people's matters." There is a suffering as a Christian you should not be suffering. There is a suffering that is experienced because you made a fleshly choice. You didn't respond spiritually. You just went along and followed your own desires. You didn't make a spiritual choice, a Holy Ghost choice. You just went along and made your own choice. How much of your life right now has suffering in it that you simply should not be having? How much suffering are you enduring right now because you brought it upon yourself by your poor choices? You're not suffering for Christ. You're suffering because you made fleshly choices. And now you suffer as a result when you didn't have to. You should have responded to that situation spiritually. But you responded in a fleshly way, and now you suffer as a result. Don't say you're suffering for Christ. You're suffering for your own poor choices. You're suffering because you refuse to be led by the Holy Ghost. Listen, church. I lost money because I denied myself. No, you lost money because you wouldn't listen to the Holy Ghost about what to do with that money. I lost relationships. I lost jobs. I lost opportunities. I lost this and I lost that, all because I followed Christ. No, you lost them because you followed your own desires. There is a suffering in Christianity because you follow Christ. But there is also a suffering that you bring upon yourself because of your own poor choices. There is a harvest that you bring upon yourself because you did not respond spiritually. There is time you wasted. Energy you wasted. Things you should not have got involved in. Things you should not have said yes to. And now you suffer as a result. Not because you suffered for Christ, but because you followed your own desires. You are suffering for you. Now, have you had enough? Have you had enough of the dramas, the struggles, the consequences that you have caused yourself? Is there not enough suffering as a result of following Christ without you adding more? There is a suffering that comes with salvation because a person denies themselves. But there is a suffering that comes because they don't deny themselves. Start learning the lessons. Start learning the lessons. Don't be the person whose life is filled with burnout, with dramas, with issues, with problems, all because you refuse to respond spiritually. Because you refuse to respond by the Holy Ghost. So minimize your day-to-day suffering. Start making Holy Ghost choices and stop making your own. Minimize your suffering. Respond spiritually. Die to wanting to do things your own way. And lessen your suffering. Make Holy Ghost choices. Respond spiritually.